Hello everybody, this is VG Time back again with another deck profile. And this is our first of many coming from DB6, and that is Bardock's Crew. So Bardock's Crew is of course a very fan favorite deck. Before it was pretty linear, but now with the inclusion of the card pool from DB6, it actually opens you up to a lot of gameplay possibilities. I already saw possibly 3 archetypes that you could play just based upon the cards that is available to this leader now. So what does he do? He has an auto on swing, a burst 2, and draw a card, and he has to be swinging at a leader, and he gets plus 5k. That makes him pretty cool because he is able to pressure awakened leaders, especially since leaders awaken so quickly nowadays, without having to be awakened himself. He also, when he awakens, untaps 2 and flips over, and that's at 4 less life. On the backside, he has the Sparking 5 requirement to draw, where he gets to draw a card and gets plus 5k again. So he becomes a 20k attacker on the backside. Then he has another auto that says if he's attacked, you could crit a life to negate the attack. That's pretty cool because it allows you to deal with, big swings from double and triple strikers without having to take the damage. And this auto is not once per turn. So let's say they sell Xeno you and try to go in, you could just crit yourself twice and stop yourself from dying. Now, if you like what you're seeing in this deck profile, please leave a like, comment any suggestions you have for the deck, and feel free to subscribe to the channel as I will be bringing out deck profiles for the likes of Slug and Gohan and so on and so forth. Now, the path I chose to go with this deck is based around the old boss monster, 4 copies of Final Strike Bardock. This card right here, I still think is very good. What it does is 5-drop 25k barrier. That's just the base stats. Then it has auto that says when it restands, your opponent takes a card from their hand and puts it at the bottom of their deck. I like really quirky versions of hand control, and that is one of them. Is it the best version? No, not at all. You're not going to get tons of cards out your opponent's hand this way, but you will get, over the course of a game, assuming he stays out there for a couple of turns, 4 to 5 cards out of your opponent's hand. So I think that's pretty much good enough. He is also unique, so you can't have multiples of them out there, but we could take advantage of extra copies in this deck. Now, if you don't want to go along as I go through this, you could go to the end of the video, see the whole deck list laid out. But if you want to continue to see my choices and why I made them, enjoy the ride. So, Burnished Bonds Tora. This card right here helps us to cheat this guy into play quicker. He has a permanent that says if you have a Bardock's Crew in your drop area, which is pretty easy to do with the bursting ability of your leader, you get to reduce the cost of this card by 1. So it becomes a 2-drop 15k with barrier. And then he has an activate main where you can pay 3 to send him to the drop area to make this guy. So of course you want to swing with him first unless you're going against like red, and then pay the triple blue to bring this guy out on turn 3. Continuing on with support for this guy, Burnished Bonds Fascia. This is another older card, 15k critical, same permanent as Tora, that makes her cost 1 less. But she has a cool activate main where you could send her to the drop area to restand your Final Strike Bardock. So you kind of want to set her up for like your bigger turn when you try to go in with combo attacks on the Final Strike Bardock. Continuing to support, Tora's Red Armband. This card is actually pretty ludicrous. Basically, if you have a Tora in the drop area, which we run plenty of Toras in this deck, you could remove it from the game from your drop area to draw 4 cards, choose your Final Strike Bardock, restand it, give it double strike and 10k, and then you get to refund an energy at the end of the turn. I don't even understand how they print a card like that. But because of that card existing, I have to run the deck a little larger than 50 cards. I think I'm around 53 or 54 cards, because I have several times decked out playing this deck on turns that I would have probably won the game. So having those few extra cards is gonna matter. Flame Bullet, this is a new card, it's a negate. You negate the attack, you restand one of your Bardocks crew. This is good with the new grade 8 cards, of course, but it's also amazing with this guy. Of course, he will be rested usually on your opponent's turn. They're gonna try to swing into him. You can negate the attack, restand them, so that now they can't just swing into him all willy-nilly. And then because he's got restood, you get to take a card from your opponent's hand and put it on the bottom of their deck. So that's a welcome addition. Now, one of the big issues the deck had in the past, sorry about that, let me get this back, is that it didn't really have a good way of awakening. Like you had to use like awakening talent pans and stuff like that, but as cool as that card is, that soaked up an energy every turn. Now we don't have to worry about that. We have Fasha's Bardock's crewmate. This card is probably one of my favorite one-drop self-awakeners I've ever seen. She bursts 2s to get her take a life 10k, but that plays along with the idea of getting these guys into the drop area. And then you have the ability at the end of the turn, if your leader is a Bardock's crew, to take an additional life. So she helps turbo through your life. You don't really want to take too much advantage of it until you get to the point where you have your setup in the drop area, but still, very great card. And this next card doesn't seem like a support for the Final Strike Bardock, but it actually kind of is in a way. And that is 3 copies of Bardock's Grade 8 Basalt. So you can only have one of this guy out. What you're gonna do with the extra copies? Well, you're gonna charge them, or you're gonna hold it back for a combo. But if you charge it, you can then turn it into a 20k double strike blocker that draws you a card at the end of the turn that you make them from the energy, and ramps the energy back that you lost to make them. What you might not know is that the Grade 8s from the Draft Box 6 can be EX evolved on battle cards in your energy, and he's one of the better ones that does that. We played 3 copies of Borgos Bardock's crewmate. This is a medical. You want some kind of one drop, you can run the other Borgos too. Blue is pretty powerful right now, and this guy punishes Dimension Magic, he punishes Meteor, Beast Coercion, whatever it is that they want to counter with an untapped energy. Even if they're playing like a multicolor blue deck and they run something like Absolute Release Ball or whatnot, it'll also punish them for running that. He's also Bardock's crew, so having him in the drop area doesn't hurt. But the main reason why you want multiple one drops is because of this next card. Bardock Legend's Origin. So this deck is blue-yellow, and the thing that makes blue-yellow viable in this deck is this card right here. So if you have a Bardock's crew in play, it allows you to ignore his energy exhaust from any area. So you could start out with a monocolor card, play one of the one drops, either the Borgos or the Fasha, and then turn 2, charge this guy. Now beyond that, he is also just an amazing card on the table in his own right, because he is a blocker that arrivals for a single blue, and then at the end of your turn, he restands, and you get to draw 2 cards if your leader is Bardock's crew. Now, of course, we're running Beerus Fickle God. This guy right here also ignore energy exhaust as long as you have a multicolored card in your energy. We all know that quote-unquote check land cycle. And then I'm trying out this card to pretty good success, Imparted Wishes Torah. So you need another Torah. You can't just rely upon this guy getting into the drop area so that you could run Red Armband. This guy helps out. He also is multicolor. He's a blocker. He has Aegis. So Aegis is going to be the way in this deck that we're going to try to gain back a little bit of energy for defense. And if he's KO'd, which is easy because he's a blocker, you get to choose a Bardocks crew in your energy, return it to your hand, and then play this guy into your energy, ignoring his energy exhaust. So you got 3 cards that are blue-yellow that have a method of ignoring energy exhaust. Of course, playing blue-yellow, we're playing 4 copies as a Masu Sacred Disbelief. This card right here, still one of the best super combos if you're playing blue. And because I am running cards that are not mono blue in the deck or blue yellow in the deck, I can't really take the risk of running, like, say, the Vegeta GT super combo and not be able to get advantage from it. So seeing that we are playing multicolor, I am of course playing 2 copies of Champa the Trickster to deal with opposing boss monsters. You could just play this guy, tap their guy down and draw a card. And that's of course if you played it on your opponent's turn. And he costs 1 less if you have a multicolor card in energy, which as we can see is pretty easy to do. This card right here is an old school card that has been in Bardock's crew decks for a while. Zarbon the Emperor's Attendant. There is a Torah that does the same thing as this card for the most part. Particularly in this deck, it does exactly the same thing. But having yellow to be able to help facilitate arrival if you don't happen to have a super combo is pretty important as well. But basically, if you combo this guy on your opponent's turn, you get to restand one of your battle cards. The main ones you care about is, of course, the Bardock to create a trade, or one of your blockers like him or him or him in order to stave off another attack. Now, I am playing some graveyard synergies. This next card isn't essential, but if you have it, it's great. And if you have more of it, definitely run more of it. I have the 1 copy of Great Ape Son Goku Saiyan Instincts. I was able to pull it from one of my championship packs, or event packs, I mean. So, we all know what he does. Pay 2 in the drop area, send it to the warp, draw 2 cards. But also it helps to pay the cost of Aegis, as well as facilitate arrival. That's why I say if you have more of it, definitely go for more of it. 1 copy of All Too Easy, that's your drop area negate. Again, as we're milling, you want to have some way of being able to protect yourself. So All Too Easy is it. And then we're playing 2 copies of Dream the Future. This is the old Bardock's crew negate, which allows you to negate an attack, pitch a blue card if your leader is Bardock's crew, and return it from your drop area to your hand, which again also helps out with Aegis. So this guy right here could essentially get you back 3 energy a turn, and then you could Dream the Future your opponent's big attacks, and then recoup those cards by means of the Bardock, as well as the Torah's red armband. So that's the deck in a nutshell. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy what you're seeing. And look forward to the next deck profiles. I will also have a deck profile and interview with the 2nd place participant in the online webcam event over the weekend. So keep an eye out for that as well. He's playing a very interesting build of Bulma. And yeah, just keep your eyes peeled. This is VG Time signing out.